The Hungaroring is the home this weekend of the GT4 European Series. The cars have made their way round onto the grid, and it's a damp grid because we've had quite a lot of overnight rain. A bit of rain fell this morning. We've had a fair amount of track activity already today, but there's more thunder that we've heard in the last 10-15 minutes or so, and the teams have got this quandary once again as to whether it's going to be a dry race or a wet race, because it has certainly got a lot grayer overhead. Yesterday's race badly affected by the rain. The safety car came out. The local officials felt it was too dangerous and were imploring the race director to stop the race. Well, we had a safety car period just so an assessment could be made, and then eventually it came as torrential rain and the race had to be stopped early. Today it's looking better, at least. We don't have the rain bouncing off the ground. However, it is certainly very grey overhead. The teams have formed up. We've got one or two cars on the grid I can see with the wipers working, and of course the team's trying to work out whether they should start on slicks or start on wets. David Addison trackside as we get set for the second race of the weekend in this GT4 European Series. It is the 10th race of what has been a great season, a real mix of winners, and the cars coming here as you look at the 55 Ginetta run by HHC Motorsport in the white shirt. With his back to you is Charlie Kemp, one of the two team principals. The car yesterday had a slow start and then got some damage early in the race and retired. So Stuart Middleton, who starts today, never got a chance to drive yesterday, will trigger for a retirement early on, and the car needs to fight back here for points as far as the championship is concerned, because there is the real championship rival, Nikolai Molomadsen and Milan Doncia's car, that lines up for this race on pole position. That car so far this season has had wins at Zolder and at Brands Hatch and at Spa. 3 wins to the Audi as against 2 for the Ginetta coming at Zolder and Brands at the start of the season. The grid then has Milan Doncia on pole position, Stuart Middleton alongside him. On the second row, though, is Nico Menzel and Mads Siljehaug. With the third row, Alessandro Giovanelli and Stefan Tribodini. Row 4 of the grid, yesterday's winners, Simon Knapp and Ivan Pereiras. And then the 5th row is where you find Nicholas Scholl, the former Carter, and his first season of car racing, with Jakob Schober alongside, and then Ravan Umberescu, the Romanian, with Gusar Radest for company. That rounds out the top 12 on the grid. And all of the drivers that start today, who did the qualifying time, did the second stint yesterday, but they never really got a racing lap in because of the safety car period and then the early red flag. Go further back on the grid, you find Miguel Cristobal alongside Ferdinand Stuck, ahead of Stefan Lemray and Paul Rees, whose car retired with damage yesterday. Marcus Lundstras could be a man to watch. Go further back as well, Mark Baseng, the GT1 world champion, starting 30th on the grid. And at the very back is the Wolf Natan-driven V8 Racing Chevrolet that he shares with Jordan Grogar. Let's go to the grid, though. Nikolai Molomadsen will do the second stint in the pole car, and he's with our reporter, Dakota Jane.
Nikolai, now it's starting to rain down here on the grid. You made a gamble yesterday with the tyres. Today you're making another gamble. What are you going to start on?
I don't know. At the moment, we have slick tyres on. You know, yesterday we made a gamble, and it was the right gamble compared to the weather. It was not the right gamble compared to the stewards because they didn't let us race. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think slicks will be the right thing. Now everybody goes on rain, but it will dry up in a minute, and then they will get fogged today like we got fogged yesterday, and we will win. So.
Sorry for the colourful language, it's all a bit exciting down here. Molomadsen, you know, you're 12 points behind your greatest competitor starting P2. How are you going to stop them from getting past you?
We took 6 points yesterday and then when we started behind them. Now we're starting in front of them. If we win today and they finish second, we're only 5 points after. And that's just another win in Nürburgring, then we are in the lead. So I think it's okay.
Good luck. Thank you.
The car to factor into this is yesterday's winning BMW #1 of Max Kubalt and Simon Knapp, because they've been chipping away in the championship and gaining points steadily over the course of the season as well. We also have had a win this year for the BMW of Gabriele Piana and Razvan Umberescu. Finlay Hutchinson, along with Ricardo van der Ende, has been a winner in the McLaren. He's in a Chevrolet this weekend because the McLaren had engine dramas on Friday, so he switches to join Duncan Houseman. And also the Alpine has had a victory this year. Stefan Tribodini and Pierre-Alexandre Jean. That was a winner at Spa a couple of weeks ago. Tremidini could be a man to watch over the course of this race as well, starting on the third row of the grid. So the cars will be released for the normal start procedure. So we had a safety car start for one of the earlier races, but the officials are going to do it as a regular rolling start. It has been declared a wet race. Some are going on wet, some are going on slicked. It'll be intriguing to see how the Audi fares over the first lap. They're hoping the weather dries up. Others are going on the wet tyres and hoping the weather worsens. At the 25-minute mark, the pit window opens. Now, a pit stop is 95 seconds, but if you're going from one type of tyre to another, wet to dry, dry to wet, then it is a longer stop, 135 seconds. So there is that provision in the regulations as well. Let's hear from yesterday's winner, though, Max Kubolt. He's down on the grid.
Max, now you're still on the high from yesterday's win. You're starting 7th today, so you've got a little bit more work to do. Do you think you're going to be able to do it?
Yeah, yesterday we started from P8 and we won the race with a bit of same circumstance like it's now. It's wet, but maybe too much for the slicks or just enough. So yeah, it's going to be a gamble. Someone on slicks, someone on wet tires, but yeah, it's going to be, I think, a fun race, and we hope we can get to the front again. It's possible. In the rain, I think we're going to struggle quite a lot compared to the lighter cars, the KTM, the Ginettas, the Alpines, the Audis. They are fast in the rain. But I think when it's going to be dry, we have a pretty good chance if we didn't lose too much time in the beginning. So we'll see.
Are you starting on wets or slicks?
We're starting now on wets. So most of the people in front of us are on wets. So I think for now the gamble is to go on wets and let's see how it goes. So
interesting choice. Good luck. Let's go.
So Max Kubolt yesterday was a race winner. He did the bulk of the work, really, because although Simon Knapp was in the second stint in that car, Simon Knapp didn't really get any racing laps in because that was when we were in this race neutralisation period. The car is, as you can see, on the wet tyre. So that, I think, means that as far as the leading group is concerned, it's only really the pole-sitting Audi that is going to be on slick tyres. Started by Milan Doncia, the Ginetta of Stuart Middleton alongside, with on the second row, Nico Menzel and Mads Siljehaug. Row 3 is Alessandro Giovinelli and Stefan Tribodini ahead of Simon Knapp and Ivan Pereiras. Then it's Nicolas Scholz, Porsche, Jakob Schober alongside ahead of Umbrescu and Gosaya Rodest. Keep going back, and we'll go quite rapidly here just to pick out some of the brands. BMW alongside McLaren, you've got Audi, you've got Porsche, you've got KTM in the mix as well. There is the Mercedes, the GT4 AMG as well. The Porsche Caymans we've touched on already, but keep going. You'll find Aston Martin and the new Alpine. There it is, another chance to see the car of Eric Mouet and David Loget. You've got the McLaren starting near the back, and the Chevrolets that had restrictor problems in the qualifying session were excluded and put to the back of the grid. So the formation lap gets underway. Everybody now blasts off the line. This is an opportunity, of course, to find out where the traction is, to get a bit of warmth into the tyres, to get the grip levels up, the pressures up as well. And at the end of this lap, then we should be good to go racing. There at the very back of the grid is the number 18 Camaro. Wolf Nathan will start. We've got a car that's the Alpine in problems. That's Eric Mouet, who just about gets away and hadn't quite dropped behind everybody. There was still one car behind him, so he should be okay to keep his grid position. Fiona James and also Finlay Hutchinson stayed behind him, so he'll be able to get his grid position back. The regulation is that if everybody goes past you before you've got going, you must start at the back. If there's even one car that didn't, then you're okay to reclaim your grid position. So the race director asking for the rain lights to be on. The wipers are on because you've got to have them because of the spray that's hanging in the air. The formation lap will get us underway. So not a safety car start, it's the proper rolling start. Yesterday there was an awful lot of discussion from the teams to the race officials about neutralising the race, and I think today it's going to be the other way. So the teams being given the opportunity to master the conditions, like it or not. So today the teams will certainly go into battle on a wet road. Yesterday it finished on a wet road. The grid scrolling through, have a look at that car that's 7th, Simon Knapp starting. Simon, an experienced driver. He stayed out on the slick tyres yesterday, and he was very pleased indeed the race was halted, because had they gone racing, the slicks would have had absolutely no benefit whatsoever. So they did kind of luck into a win yesterday, Simon Knapp and Max Kubolt. The forecast that we're hearing is that it will dry up pretty quickly here, so expect when we get to the pit window people to be changing from wets onto slicks, but that could well help the pole sitting Audi, because if you're changing tyres and it's the same type of compound, it's a shorter stop than if you're going from wets to slicks, slicks to wets. So that could bring the Audi, even if it loses ground early on in the race, it could bring it back into the mix in the second stint. So let's see, as we are about to go racing there, is the number 2 Mercedes. That's the car of Marcus Pavarud and Ivan Pareras, making its way down from turn 11 towards the stadium section, if you like, at the end of the lap. Ivan Pareras, who was the winner of the 24-hour race at Barcelona last year, Spanish endurance champion, he will start in that car. And you see just how successful GT4 racing has become in the last 12 months, partly, I suppose, because of all the other manufacturers now building cars, but it really has become a very, very successful championship indeed. So everybody now turning their way into turn 12. The cars headed by the pole sitting Audi of Milan Doncia, Stuart Middleton alongside on that front row of the grid. And yesterday the Ginetta lost out badly. It needs points out of this race as we are about to go racing them. The pace car as it is peels into the pit lane. The cars 2x2 for the rolling start come now out of turn 14. The lights on the gantry will get things underway in a moment. The race director keeping an eye to make sure that everybody stays within their grid marker boxes as the lights on the gantry then will go from red in a moment to get race 2 of the GT4 European Series underway. We go racing. A good start is made by the Audi from the front of the grid, but also getting away nicely, look, is Nico Menzel's BMW that comes up on the inside line. And is the Audi going to go backwards on its slick tyres? Well, charging through into the lead goes Stuart Middleton in the Ginetta. He gets the car slowed down. 1 or 2 go deep into the corner, including Alessandro Giovinelli in the Porsche. He's all over the curb on the outside line now as they power their way downhill. But Stuart Middleton it is that leads the way. Also a good start made by Mansilihaug, look, in the blue KTM. He goes second. Nico Menzel is third. Works drama, that's Stefan Tribodini going around and around. The Alpine turned sideways. Did he fall or was he pushed? Either way, he's dropped a whole heap of places here. The start is under investigation, we understand, and Tribodini has to sit and wait for everybody to go streaming past him. Up the hill, Stuart Middleton is leading the way. Now, out of all of this, look, where is the pole car? Off the road goes Jakob Schober as he runs out of traction. But the Milan Doncia Audi on its slick tyres is dropping like a stone. Giovinelli goes around in the Porsche. He spins, coming through turn 5, gets going again. Carl Scatter. So the conditions catching out a few, even if they're on the wet rubber. Out of the chicane, Stuart Middleton leads the way. Now, this illustrates the point Max Kubot made on the grid about the lighter cars going well in the wet. The Ginetta and the KTM, first and second. That is Fiona James, I fear, who has had a spin coming out of turn 4 in the car that she shares with team owner, Academy Motorsport boss Matt Nicol-Jones, the very successful Ginetta champion of years past. Number 2 there, Ivan Pareras, right onto the tail of the BMW. They come now down towards the end of lap number 1. So Nico Menzel's BMW was well up on the grid, but has dropped back a little bit. Simon Knapp, number 1 then, hits third. And there was an incident under investigation, which is Stefan Tribodini and also car number 5, the Audi on its slick tyres. That's the incident under investigation, and it also gives you the answer as to why Tribodini was facing the wrong way for a moment. There are more battles raging on, helped in part by people struggling for traction as they come up toward the line there. Simon Knapp loses out to Ivan Pareras. And so now, as they come over the timing line, 1 lap is in the book. Stuart Middleton leads. Second is Mansilihaug. Third, Ivan Pareras in the Mercedes. Simon Knapp is 4th. 5th is Ferdinand Stuck in his KTM making progress. 6th is Jakob Schober. In 7th place now, it's 37, which is Stefan Leberet's BMW. In 8th place, it is Nicolas Scholl's Porsche. He's a soloist. Down to 9th is Nico Menzel. 10th is Markus Lundstrass. The cars then come out of turn 1. Down the hill, there is Stuck, fending off the Mercedes. Nicolas Scholl goes through. And Markus Lundstrass here trying to gain ground back. There's also Alessandro Giovinelli in the Porsche there after his spin. Comes through on the inside line, and he now goes ahead of Nico Menzel. So that BMW falling down and down the field. And a good effort this being put in by the Porsche. Alessandro Giovinelli recovering after that spin. So So through he turns then. The leader's currently on lap number 2. And you can see there, looks side by side all the way through turn 5. Giovanelli goes through, up on the inside line, gains his place back. So the Auto Orlando Sport Car goes through. And off the road, skipping out of the chicane there, the BMW struggling for traction and will drop down the pack accordingly. Now, in all of this, Milan Doccia, 16th at the end of lap 1, struggling for grip. He's had a few incidents on the opening lap because he just hasn't got the traction. And there for the race lead, Matt Sillyhook comes up to have a go now at Stuart Middleton. This is the top 2 then, the Ginetta run by the British HHC Motorsport team. Matt Sillyhook looking for a way by. And round the outside goes the former Norwegian single-seater racer. He raced in what's called Formula Basic, which is a, as its name suggests, cheap and cheerful entry-level single-seater category. He's been racing this year in the Blancpain Endurance event, as well as GT4, goes deep into turn 14, and now makes the run up over the timing line. It is still Stuart Middleton, former British GT4 class champion, leading the way ahead of Sillyhook in the Felbermeyer-backed KTM. This is now the fight going on for 4th place, where you've got Simon Knapp under attack from Ferdinand Stuck, one of the 2 sons of the great Hans-Joachim Stuck. In 6th place behind them, it's Jakob Schober. In 7th place now, Stefan Lemeray, the very experienced Belgian journalist. There he is in the BMW. In 8th place, Nicolas Scholl. And Lemeray up the curve on the inside there, but he can't quite find a way by. There's a whole line of cars thundering past the pits at the moment, but up front, Stuart Middleton leads the way. The road is getting a bit drier, it's getting a bit brighter, all these things being relative, I promise you. But let's have a look at the start. It's under investigation, and as the lights go out, everybody blasts away. It was a really good start by Sillyhook there to go for the inside line. And you see the problems that Milan Doccia has as the car gets quicker and quicker as he gets to the first corner, so he suddenly discovers how little grip there is. So Milan Doccia loses the race lead to Stuart Middleton, and also on his toes, Simon Knapp starting to pick up places. Nico Menzel's BMW dropping down. Now, there is the contact as Milan Doccia on his slick just slithers into the side of Tribodini. That has really upset, as you can imagine, Tribodini's team, but with so little grip, I don't think Milan Doccia did it maliciously. And there, being almost shoveled out of the way, seemingly, was the Aston Martin of Fiona James. Contact from one of the Chevrolets behind, it looked like, from that shot. So, we've got a new race leader, Matt Sillyhook ahead of us sideways. Stuart Middleton as they come back into view down towards turn 12. The KTM has the advantage over the Ginetta at the moment. 3rd is Ivan Pereiras in the Mercedes. 4th there you can see is Simon Knapp. And 5th, another of what the opposition call the lightweight cars, the KTMs, Ferdinand Stuck, making progress up the order as well now. Into turn 14. Matt Sillyhook leads the way. Stuart Middleton dropping back a little bit now. And Ivan Pereiras then hanging on to 3rd. Simon Knapp still doing a good job in 4th position. Milan Doccia was 19th last time. Need to keep an eye on that car just to see where it falls to, because as the road dries, its pace will quicken, but we're not there yet. It is 11 seconds slower than the leader. And a drive-through penalty for Milan Doccia for causing a collision. So the fact that he was on the slick tyres and he lost traction does not cut it with the race director. It is a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. Whether he was suffering with grip levels or not, he still caused the incident. So Milan Doccia was way down in 23rd, 24th. Now comes into the pit lane. So Doccia, as you look at the 2nd place battle raging on now, Doccia serves his drive through. Stuart Middleton is about to lose out to Ivan Pereiras. The Mercedes comes up on the inside. There's the leader, that's Sillyhook. And then for 2nd, Ivan Pereiras goes through. We've also got a couple of cars being warned about not having their lights on. And if they don't put them on, they'll get black and orange flag as a consequence. There, Ferdinand Stuck to the inside of Simon Knapp for 4th place. He runs the BMW out wide. And Stuck goes through then up into 4th position. So the order now, Sillyhook leading, but Ivan Pereiras is doing a really good job in 2nd place. He's making very good progress. He's ahead of Stuart Middleton, so he's down to 3rd now. And 4th is Ferdinand Stuck, and don't rule him out either. This is how the lead changed. And as the cars came through, it was Sillyhook around the outside. You can see Stuart Middleton hunting for traction, but on the outside line quite often you find a bit more grip, and that's what Sillyhook exploited, and through he went into the lead, into the chicane. So an excellent job done that. Middleton under attack. Ferdinand Stuck to the outside line though. They come through turn 12 and Stuck will make the inside line. Here's at turn 13, the Ginetta going backwards here, struggling for traction. So the KTM goes by. Look at the amount of energy being applied by Stuart Middleton to try to keep the car in a straight line. The lap times are going up. I just wonder whether that is another car that was on the wrong choice of tyre for the start of the race. Either way, the handling has gone completely. You can see the way that he's struggling now as they come over the line. So, were it slicks, he'd have been struggling earlier. But there's something in there that is not right. The car had suspension damage yesterday, and now Stuart Middleton has got a real fight on his hands. So, Mads Siljehoog leads. Ivan Pereiras is second. He was 17th yesterday, and that gap is 2.7 seconds. Third, it is Ferdinand Stuck. Fourth looks Stuart Middleton in the blue and white HHC Ginetta, but he's about to lose another spot, is he? Because Simon Knapp goes to the inside line. Middleton off the road. He just can't get the car slowed down in time. Stuart Middleton is really struggling. He blasts his way now up the hill, but other cars around him, we were told, were on wets. The only car on slicks was the number 5 Audi, and that fell away early on. So if it were that he's on the wrong choice of tyre, we'd have known about it earlier in terms of being on slicks. If it's wet, it's overheating, why is it not happening to anybody else? So there's something odd going on here for the Ginetta. There, Mads Siljehoog pushing on. Other people on wet tyres, they might be getting sideways, but they're not having the same travails that Middleton is having, so it's one to try to investigate this. He's lost the place to Simon Knapp. Wondering if it's a legacy of the suspension damage of yesterday, but Stuart Middleton is really struggling to keep that car in a straight line now. So there, look, it's a car on wets, it's got the traction, and it's leading the race happily in the hands of Mads Siljehoog. But if Stuart Middleton were on slicks, he wouldn't have been able to grab the advantage on the opening couple of corners, I wouldn't have thought. So now he's really struggling, and that car dropping down the order. There is Ivan Pereiras. He's lost out to Ferdinand Stuck, so the KTM's looking very strong indeed at the moment. We haven't had an outright win from a KTM this season. They've always been quick, but the cars, some of them run by the Reiter team, not yet race winners. Could that change today? Fastest lap of the race, by the way, has now been set by Finlay Hutchison in the Camaro, 2 minutes 6.5. As the leading KTMs go over the line, the leading gap is 1.8 seconds. Third is Ivan Pereiras, in fourth is Simon Knapp, fifth, Stuart Middleton. In sixth place is Jakob Schober. Seventh is Stefan Lemeret. And Middleton, like the others on wets, look going for the wetter part of the road. Maybe his wet tyres have just gone off much faster than everybody else is around him. Down towards turn one, Jakob Schober goes one side. Stefan Lemeret tries to get up on the inside line. But wet seemingly are still the way to go. Ferdinand Stuck has done a 2 minutes 4.8. Middleton under attack from Jakob Schober, who goes round the outside of him. But Stuart Middleton has the line for the corner as they drop downhill. Schober gets run up onto the curb. Look behind them, you've got Nicholas Scholl there in the bullet-shaped Porsche Cayman, right on the back of the BMW. Very pretty cars, the Caymans. And there he looks for a way by as they climb the hill. There's a drive-through penalty now being given to car 31 for track limit abuse, and that is the Shabamor Patrick Zamparini Mercedes. So that car, which is Patrick Zamparini at the wheel, you see there the spinning KTM of Ferdinand Stuck. So that's the car that was second off the road and tumbling down the order. Fastest lap of the race last time, and Ferdinand Stuck in the true racing KTM loses it at turn 5, gets back into the race. So Zamparini 19th set for a drive-through. Stuck has to defend there. Middleton is still busy defending from Jakob Schober, who in turn has got Stefan Lemeret up behind him. Through they come, down towards turn 8. And Stuart Middleton still under attack, but so too is Jakob Schober. He is trying to attack and defend at the same time as Lemeret goes right round the outside at turn 11. Uses all of the curb. Down the hill they come on the inside line of the Ginetta. Stuart Middleton fending off Jakob Schober. Lemeret goes ahead of the Mercedes, and he's still on the outside line. He might find a bit more traction there and get the advantage on the inside for the next corner, which he does. Stefan Lemeret will go through, will he? He's alongside Stuart Middleton, and now gets the drive out of the corner as the Ginetta wags its tail. The Mercedes gets the run up the outside line. Here comes Nicholas Scholl in the Porsche Cayman. A former Carter turned GT racer gets onto the back of the Mercedes. Leaders through. All of them now, look, going for the wetter part of the road. And intriguingly now, the lap time's going up. So the tipping point may well have been reached here. because the last lap by the leader was a 2:06. Others are doing 8s and 10s and 12s. What will a Milan Doncia lap be now that the road is drying out? And can he start gaining places back as Middleton loses out to Schober? So the Ginetta, which runs a stiffer suspension under the homologation for the Ginetta G55, and it's just not ideal in these conditions, we understand. That's why the car is struggling for handling in the way that it is. Stuart Middleton doing a very good job of hanging on in there, but the car stiffer and therefore less suited to the greasy conditions. Now losing another place, Nicholas Scholl comes up on the outside. It's great to watch the way that Stuart Middleton is handling the car, but sadly he's dropping further and further down the order as a consequence. They come into turn 5, Nicholas Scholl in the Cayman starts to line up to make his move. Now Milan Doncia's last lap was a 2:08.5. There's another car, I reckon, that might be on slicks because Raval Brescu is coming back in terms of pace as well, but the tipping point not yet reached. Still, these cars on wets have got enough pace to be able to hang on in there and maintain the advantage. It's not tyres though, it's this suspension for the Ginetta, as we now learn, that's the problem for Stuart Middleton, as down towards turn 12 comes Mads Siljehoog, ahead of Ivan Pereira's back up in the second place after Ferdinand Stuck spun himself down to 8th. Simon Canat third. You can see the way they're moving across the road. That is going for the wetter part of the track to try and cool the tyres, because they only want to have to do one tyre change, if any, and that will be when the pit window opens. So now these drivers have got to nurse the tyres to the pit window. Rain does wonderful things for motor races, and it's giving us a very interesting second GT4 European Series race today. And the teams, I think, very happy that they're being allowed to get on with it, make the gamble on tyres, and see what comes. Up towards the timing line there goes Nicholas Scholl. He will go over the timing line, and Nicholas powers his way onto the back of Stuart Middleton as he goes through. Scholl, new to car racing this year, and he's about to make that move stick, I reckon, on the inside line, down towards turn 1. There the BMW through. Simon Canat is third, fourth Stefan Leveray, and Middleton goes out wide. Nicholas Scholl will be into now 6th place, and Ferdinand Stuck working his way back up the order after his spin. He goes through as well. Stuck round the outside. The line should come to him. He'll be on the inside now for turn 3. Job done. So that will put him up into 7th, and Stuart Middleton down to 8th. Desperately hoping that the road dries out here. Greasy, not good. Dry, very good. But the trouble is that that car is now going to be about 20 seconds, give or take, away from the leaders. There's some quite nervous faces on the pit wall up and down the pit lane there, as you can see. Ferdinand Stuck still leads the way, and that's the car that he shares with Reinhard Koffler, who did a good job in yesterday's opening stint in the deteriorating conditions. So here at the Hungaroring, we work lap 8. Ferdinand Stuck, there he is, and the KTM has done the fastest lap of the race, and he's up the inside of Nicholas Scholl, and the KTM goes ahead of the Cayman and goes through. But also now you've got Nico Menzel running 10th, doing absolute bests in the sectors. Now that was another car that dropped away early on. Could it be another one that had elected to go on the slick tyre, and now the road is just starting to come to him, because as others are struggling on the wets, he has gone nearly 3 seconds quicker in sector 1 than the race leader. So Menzel, I reckon, might be another one on the slick tyre, number 110 BMW. He's closing onto the back of this long, long line of cars as well. So the race leader is Mads Siljehoog. You're looking at Jakob Schober's Mercedes there, still hunting down the BMW of Stefan Leveray. Through they turn. Leveray up towards the timing line. And as he goes through, I'm intrigued to see the next lap time from Nico Menzel, because he's up into 8th and he's done the fastest lap of the race. Number 110 BMW, it's in the background of this shot, has just done a 2:03.5. So Menzel, as that car now starts to work in these conditions, is getting up the order. There it is, 110 BMW. As I say, it fell away on the opening lap, but is now coming good. It could be another slick shod starter. Either way, the pace is getting better and better. Nico Menzel is ahead of Nicholas Scholl, so 7th he runs, fastest car on the circuit at the moment. So we are about 7 minutes away from the pit window opening. That's your leader, that is Mads Siljehoog. He comes out of turn 5, puts the power down. You see the way the car slides just a little. shares that car with Gottfried Pilz, and comes then now up towards the chicane. Field turning its way now up through the chicane, and you see the drivers put down the power, how the cars slide. Jakob Schober there goes across the road to defend from Ferdinand Stuck, hangs onto the place, but Stuck up the inside now goes through. So Ferdinand Stuck will be 5th. That's been a popular result looking at the pit wall. So Stuck making progress, and Reinhard Koffler, who will take over number 22, is no mean driver himself. So he's going to be one to watch in the next part of the race as well. Ben Sillyhook still leads the way. There, look, the BMWs, certainly the 110 Nico Menzel car, getting himself up the order. Menzel over the curb. He's put himself now ahead of the KTM behind. And also the Mercedes of Jakob Schober. 3 wide into turn 14. Stefan Leberay trying to defend from Stuck and also from Menzel, but Nico Menzel goes through and takes that place away. He goes through on the inside line, so Nico Menzel goes through. The BMW gains another place. This is the car that Menzel shares with Beitske Visser. Beitske, former Formula Renault racer, and quite busy these days in GT cars for BMW, GT4 especially. So the race order, Mads Sillyhoog leads, 2nd is Ivan Pereiras, that gap 4.4 seconds. Simon Knap's BMW is 3rd, Nico Menzel is now 4th, Ferdinand Stuck there 5th, 6th is Stefan Leberay, 7th is now going to be Paul Rees, I reckon, because look at the way that 87 is going. The blue McLaren has suddenly arrived on the scene out of nowhere, and is another car carving its way up the order. Number 5, the Milan Doncha, is doing proper lap times as Seb Morris gets ready to take over Stephen Patrick's Mercedes. But Paul Rees, in a car damaged yesterday when Nico Rindlisbacher crashed it, looks like it's another one on slicks, and the road is coming to it. There, Stucky goes round the outside of Stefan Leberay. That puts him back up into 5th place. He's got the place and dropped it again. That's Stephen Patrick off the road. We've just seen his co-driver, but the Bullet Racing car, Stephen Patrick, the Gibraltar-based Brit, off and back on again. And how did he do it? Just like this. It was a pretty low speed off, to be fair to him. Stephen Patrick, without any damage, loses time, but doesn't damage the car. Now, Nico Menzel, absolute best sector 1 time as he closes right up onto the back of Simon Knap. There is Seb Morris, who's just seen that, and the British Racing Drivers Club Superstar member knows that he's got a bit of work to do when he gets behind the wheel. Side by side here, down towards the braking zone. Paul Rees having a very, very good drive indeed. Gets ahead of Stefan Leberay. So that car, as I said early on, damaged yesterday. Paul never got to drive it yesterday. Making very good progress from 16th on the grid. And it really has come out of nowhere in the last lap, hasn't it? Suddenly it's in this leading gaggle. So it makes me think it's another car that started on slicks and the road has come to it. It's still Sillyhoog in the lead of the race. 2nd is Pereiras. 3rd is Menzel, who's done the best lap now. Nico Menzel, 2 minutes 2.096. Simon Knap runs 4th. Stuck 5th. Rees 6th. And look, the McLaren doesn't go anywhere near the pit wall. It can stay on the dry part of the circuit because it's on slick tyres. There's the evidence if you needed more of it as they come down towards turn 1. What's Paul Rees's lap time like? It's 2 minutes 5 actually, so still not anywhere near as good as Nico Menzel, but it is a quick car, and the McLaren goes through on the inside line there. The 570S goes ahead of the KTM. Next target, yesterday's winner, Simon Knap. But Nico Menzel continues to get higher and higher up the order. 31 is being given another drive-through. Charbonneau, Patrick Zamperini, this time for crossing the white line at pit exit. First of all, it was for track limit abuse. Now it's another one, as I say, for the white line at pit exit. A lot's happened, and we've not even had 25 minutes there. Number 1, Simon Knap, 4th. He's about to lose out to Ferdinand Stuck. The KTM comes up to challenge on the outside line. Gets the traction, gets the drive, gets the place. Good effort by Stuck. Remember, he is recovering after a spin, and now hunting down Sillyhoog, I think that was, I saw up the road ahead of him. Let's see. There is 22. So the next target for Stuck is going to be Paul Rees, who's actually got past them as well and pulled away. So the McLaren working its way through the traffic. Stephen Patrick getting ahead of the Roger Bouet Alpine there. So you've got back markers battling, you've got leaders shuffling their order as well. It's all going on. And here, coming towards us, is Paul Rees. Now, he's ahead of Stuck. He was behind him at the start of the lap. We've seen Stuck overtake Lemeray. Rees has overtaken him as well. So both of these cars getting better and better as the stint wears on. The pit window will be open in about a minute and a half's time. But for the most part, the teams now will want to keep their quicker driver out for as long as they can, but have to balance that against the fact that if they're on the wrong tyres for the conditions, you need to get the car in and get them changed. Mats Siljehaug leads Nico Menzel. The leading gap there, look, 2 seconds. The BMW on the slick tyres getting closer and closer all the time. Ivan Pereiras runs third. Fourth now is Paul Rees. Up into fifth is Ferdinand Stuck. Sixth is Simon Knapp. Seventh is Lemeray. Eighth is Jakob Schroeder. Ninth is Nicholas Scholler. Down to 10th is Stuart Middleton. And there, look, Nico Menzel takes over the race lead going through turn 2. He was 2 seconds back. He's now into the lead of the race. We've got a drive-through penalty for number 112, Pavel Lefterov and Miguel Cristoval's BMW for pushing another car. Race director and the stewards being busy in this race, that's for sure. So Nico Menzel, need to look at the lap chart post-race to see where he dropped to, but he certainly fell away on the opening lap because it was Simon Knapp's BMW that was well up there. Menzel had fallen away quite early doors, but now Nico Menzel on slick tyres, having kept out of trouble, having the road come back to him. So that shows you the gamble working. Paul Rees doing the same thing. He's in 4th place, going after Ivan Pereiras, and we'll look in the background and see the Mercedes is ahead of the McLaren. We've got Zamparini coming into the pit for his drive-through, incidentally, as you look there at Fiona James. There is Paul Rees charging along behind, then Ferdinand Stuck running 5th. The pit window is open now, and so the pit window opens. The teams will be able to do the driver and significantly the tyre change. But if you're on slicks already, you ain't going to need to change tyres and your stop will be quicker. A tyre change pit stop is a longer one by roughly 30 seconds or so. So it is going to be a longer stop, and that is going to turn the race upside down as far as some of those teams in the leading gang at the moment are concerned. As in comes Mats Siljehaug then, the race leader is in. We've now got a car being investigated for speeding in the pit lane, which is the David Loger, Eric Mouet Alpine. But there's the leading car then. In comes at the end of lap 12, Mats Siljehaug. So Nico Menzel takes over the race lead. Ferdinand Stuck comes in as well to get out of the car and get proper tyres on. Ivan Pereiras is in. So those on slicks can go a little bit longer. Those on the wets have got to come in and sort this out. Slick tyres go on to Siljehaug's car. And up down the pit lane, it is very, very busy indeed now. I can't tell you of many cars that are still on the track, but they are the ones that are on slicks, basically, including Nico Menzel and Paul Rees, and they are the 2 cars that have stayed out. And now you've got to be friends with your neighbour. All the cars park nose in for safety reasons. If you had them nose to tail, there just would not be enough room in the pit lane. So they park nose first, then there's more space. Seb Morris getting into the Mercedes of Stephen Patrick there. Over the timing line has gone Paul Rees. There are still 1 or 2 staying out. But ideally, you want to be in as quick as you can be. As the Bullet Racing Mercedes, as the overall race leader comes through. Nico Menzel, who will give way to Bajska Visser for the 2nd stint in that car. 111 is in. Razvan Andreescu to give way to Gabriele Piana, who led the race yesterday. And there you can see the slick tyres going on, even though still either rain falling in the pit lane or possibly being blown off the roof of the building that sits above it. There is a 60-second stop-and-go penalty for number 31, which is, again, Sherba Moore and Patrick Zamparini for track limit violation at turn 7, which is the chicane. So they've had a stop-go for a drive-through for track limits, a drive-through for cutting the pit lane exit line, and now a stop-and-go penalty of a minute for continued abuse of the track limits. The race director is not having any messing with that car. Another lap about to be done by Nico Menzel. Lapping in the 2-minute 2s. And look, he just put a lap on the car that led early on. So back into the race will go the 24 KTM. Mats Siljehaug now having given way to Gottfried Pilz. So a flying lap at the moment, over 2 minutes, and illustrating the extra time taken when you have to change from slicks to wets, or in this case, wets to slicks, as the conditions improve. BMW there, about to run out of road, is it not? That's number 111 back into the race. Gabriele Piana at the wheel. The car was quite a long way down before the pit window opened, but Piana now trying, and he's a very, very rapid driver, to gain ground back again. I just wonder whether the rain might not be falling again, because the lap times of the cars that were on slicks are starting to go up. Paul Rees comes in. If he's going to get wet in this second stint, and we've had people changing from wets onto slicks, it's going to get absolutely fascinating. Number 33, Seb Morris, then goes through. Once everybody has done a pit stop, I'll give you a run through of the order, because it's going to be fascinating into the second part of the race to see who is where. Then you factor in not only tyres, but also the differing pace of drivers. Is that Pavel Lefterov, I can see, getting ready for a stop. 112 comes in, so he will take over here from Miguel Cristobal, the Portuguese driver. So we've still got half the race to go, and a heck of a lot has happened. Tremendous race this. It is raining again, isn't it? Look, you can see it falling at turn 13. So now there's the gamble. Do I come in for another set of wet tyres, or do I brave it out and hope this will go? 110, Nico Menzel carries on, and the rain is falling again. Got to say, the Hungarian weather forecasters have not been on their toes this weekend. The rain most definitely falling, and now Nico Menzel, who did a 2 minutes 1 earlier, is lapping in the 2 minute 4, so 3 seconds a lap slower as the rain comes. That's the leading car, staying out. 87 Paul Rees, by the way, has just pitted. But now, those that came in at the start of the window and have gone on to slicks may be regretting it. Those that started on slicks and might need to go on to wets might be regretting it, because they're going to lose time in the pit lane. This is what a proper endurance race should be, when the weather conditions are impossible to predict. 71 BMW, that car from the W&D racing team, Paolo Meloni and Massimiliano Tresoldi, had a spin yesterday. Behind there, look, you can see 77 now with Joachim Kowiak, having relieved Markus Lungstrass. And the pit window remains open as the BMW comes in. Also down the pit road has come now Jan Kasperlik's BMW, and we'll see the leader prepare for a pit stop, but he's not as yet committed. Now, where in all of this is number 5 Audi, because the car that Milan Doncia is driving is up into 3rd place, because the slick tyres have been working better, and of course lots of other people have gone into the pits for their regulation stop ahead of him. But Doncia stays at the wheel. He's not pitted, therefore, to give way yet to Nikolai Molomadsen. Downhill comes the Audi, the R8 GT4 there, number 77. That is now Joachim Kowiak, and he has got Milan Doncia tucked up behind him. The car that Nikolai Molomadsen will take over. Behind the pair of them is Jakob Schober. So now you've got people out of sequence, because some have pitted and some still haven't. Some are a lap down, some aren't. And that is Nico Rindlisbacher, who's taken over the McLaren from Paul Rees. Now, yesterday, Nico rather disgraced himself by having a big accident with the car of Dominic Schrammel at turn 1. Nico Menzel is staying out for another lap. Now, this could be a good move on the slicks, because he wants to leave it to the end of the window, and then they can do the definitive tyre choice. That's my suspicion of why they're staying out. There is Nico Rindlisbacher coming through. We've got number 99 now being given a drive-through for track limit abuse. That's the Sasha Halek Wolfgang Risch Mercedes. Menzel still leads the way. That lap was a 2 minutes 8. The lap times are definitely going up again, because the road conditions have deteriorated. Nikolai Molomadsen on the grid said it's going to dry up pretty quickly. Well, it never has, really, has it? And that car still on its slicks. They have to give up the unequal struggle, but those that have started on wets and gone to slicks now, desperately hoping it's going to dry up. So, as the pit stop window comes towards its close, the last few drivers get ready. Butskavissa will take over the leading car, and Nikolai Molomadsen will take over number 5 Audi. See that the pit lane is a lot calmer, a lot quieter than it was a few laps ago, when almost everybody came in at the start of the window to go onto slicks and then be confronted with a wet road. Nicholas Scholl here, number 43. Forgive me, Henry Cowpey here, number 43. Same team, different combination of drivers in the Porsche Cayman. Henry Cowpey, the Finn, coming into the championship this weekend. Single-seater winner in Formula 4 in the North European zone, and has raced GT4 in Italy as well as in the European Series. And number 43 then coming under attack from the faster cars behind. 1-1-0, Nico Menzel then carries on. And is he going to come in this time? Surely he will be in to give way to Blancpain. Yes, in comes the leading BMW then. Down the pit road gently comes Nico Menzel. And as he gets to the pit lane speed limit line, he'll back it right off and coast towards the crew in the pit lane, who in turn will go about the hard work. Now let's see what they're going to do about tyres here. Let's see if we can stay with this pit stop. Do they keep it on slicks? Is the road good enough? Or does it need to go onto wet? Blancpain gets ready. She will jump aboard. Nico Menzel gets out. And for the moment, no suggestion of a tyre change needed. So there is the driver change almost completed. And for my money, that car's going to stay on slicks. Yeah, there's no attention to tyres, is there? So if you stay on the slick rubber, that last shower, I think, has now passed through. So this 1-1-0. Now, where's the McLaren of Nico Rindlisbacher? It had got itself up into second place, had it not, with Paul Rees behind the wheel. That coming towards us. So there, the clock ticks on down. It's 95 seconds pit in to pit out. And 87 there is, of course, delayed after its pit stop, but Nico Rindlisbacher not as quick as Paul Rees, and it's losing pace once more. Rindlisbacher, who's raced in Porsche Carrera Cup and in the Italian F4 Championship, seems to be struggling on that track surface now. So with the drizzle still falling and the wipers on, the cars now, those last few that have made their pit stops, come back into the race. And 1-1-0 is Blancpain taking over from Nico Menzel after a great first stint. Can that BMW hang on in there for another 24 minutes? At the end of the next lap, we'll have a proper idea of the race order. Number 5 Audi is worth looking at as well, Nikolai Müller-Madsen. But there, Nico Rindlisbacher, the car was second, but my fear is that it's lost more places on this lap because the pace, certainly that Rindlisbacher is evincing in sectors, not as good as it was earlier in the hands of Paul Rees, that car. So the order very shuffled now because of people making their pit stops. There is the McLaren that will come through. The fastest lap of the race has just been done at 2 minutes and change by car number 33, which is Seb Morris. He's way down, but Seb, reigning British GT champion for Bentley, and Stuart Parker's Team Parker Racing Squad, new to the Mercedes this weekend, and has just done the fastest lap of the race. So he's on a mission. So there is Nico Rindlisbacher. The other car to watch, number 111. We saw Gabriele Piana a little while ago getting himself up the order. Well, Gabriele Piana now, number 111, I reckon, is running ahead of the McLaren. So there is the leader. It's a BMW 1-2. It's 110 from 111. 87, Nico Rindlisbacher is down in 4th. In 5th is number 2, which now is Marcus Pavarud at the wheel of the Mercedes. And 6th will be Gottfried Pilz, won't it? Having taken over the early race leading blue KTM. In many cases now, though, you've got the pro drivers, the quicker drivers, into some of the cars, and it means that the lap times are coming down and the order is still shuffling. So here is Blancpain into the race, onto a track surface she doesn't know, and working up towards turn 14. Chasing on, there is Gabriele Piana. Now, he is quicker in the sectors than most at the moment. Gabriele Piana is a very experienced driver, lives near the Nordschleife, so racing on a circuit in changeable conditions is not exactly new to him, and he's a master of the VLN. Gabriele Piana now accelerates down towards turn 12. He's just done an absolute best middle sector. We're getting drive-through penalties, one of which goes to the number 2 Mercedes that's running at the moment in 4th place. So the Pavarud and Pereiras Mercedes gets a drive-through for track limit abuse. So also does 18, Jordan Grogar and Wolf Nathan. And also number 39, which is Sylvain Debs and Gwenal Delumier. That, again, for track limit abuse, will get a drive-through penalty. And we're not done yet, because now Gabriele Piana sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:58.3, and is on a mission to catch Bajtska-Visser. Now the gap is recorded at over half a minute. There is Nico Rindlisbacher, who is running in 3rd place in the McLaren. 4th behind is the blue KTM, which is now Gottfried Pilz. 5th, but set to be penalised, number 2 Mercedes. And then we'll wait and tell you who's 6th when the car comes over the line. I reckon it's going to be Nikolai Moller-Madsen. It is, but Moller-Madsen is 1 minute and 11 seconds back from the race leader. So it's a big, big gap at the moment between the race-leading car and the traffic, and there's a long, long line of traffic behind. There is Moller-Madsen, who has now got Reinhard Koffler behind him, the Danish driver, just ahead of Koffler as they come down the hill here. Reinhard Koffler, the Austrian, closing up onto the back of Moller-Madsen, who loses traction at turn 2. The car suddenly twitches, he just about saves it, almost glances off the KTM. Reinhard Koffler says, I am coming through. He means business, doesn't he? So remember, those that have had to change tyres in the pit stops had a longer pit stop than those that had the right choice to begin with and have stayed on the slick tyre. But even allowing for that, Nikolai Moller-Madsen, having lost ground, is falling back in the pack, isn't he? There is the Aston Martin coming towards us, a lap down. 87, Nico Rindlisbacher is going to go down a pace for Gottfried Pilz, because the KTM there, look up the inside, and through he goes. Nico Rindlisbacher struggling now, and Gottfried Pilz easily goes past him. Now, as far as the BMWs up front are concerned, Piana in the first sector pretty much matching Bajtska-Visser, or the other way round, but in the middle sector he's taken the second out of that. Pilz runs 3rd, 4th then is Rindlisbacher, keeping out of stride today. Had the accident with the Cayman of Dominic Schrammel yesterday in turn 1, so going better today in what has been an absolutely wonderful race to watch, because so much is happening and there's no real pattern. Every lap something seems to change, either through tyres or through the weather or through driver pace or all of the above. The race leading gap is 34.7 seconds, and Bajtska-Visser is doing a 2 minutes 5 as against 2 minutes 2. The gap's coming down, but is it coming down quickly enough? That decision to start on the slick tyre has come good for the leading BMW. Less so for the Audi, of course, because it had to serve the drive-through with Milan Doce causing the incident on the opening lap that turned around Tribodini's Alpine. He got the drive-through penalty for that, and it means that he's still playing catch-up here. So there's the leading car, 110 Bajtska-Visser up front by over half a minute, and the rain is falling again, look. This could go against the cars on slicks, their lap times are going to go up, but that's the leader. Second is 111, which is Gabriele Piana, and all of a sudden these are heavy rain conditions, aren't they? So much for this bright and sunny weather that we were promised. The rain's falling again, and Bajtska-Visser leads this car of Gabriele Piana, who is taking time out in the sectors, but now is really struggling on the slick rubber. He's got to keep it off those curbs. He got away with that. We've also now got 2 or 3 under investigation for their pit stop times. One of which is Nico Rindlisbacher in 4th place. The McLaren is being looked at for possibly not stopping for the requisite time. The same is true of number 16 of Hamza Vega and Francisco Guedes, and the other one being investigated is David Loger and Eric Mouet. So there, in 3rd place is Gottfried Pilz. The KTM tiptoes through, out of turn 11, rain still falling, and the gaps between the top 2 coming down, but not massively, so Bajtska-Visser still has the advantage despite the track conditions here. There, number 2 Mercedes. Now that's a car that's got a penalty to serve, as Nico Rindlisbacher goes deep into turn 12. The door is opened, and through goes Pavarud, through goes Koffler. That puts them at Pro Tem, 4th and 5th. The Mercedes, remember, has a drive-through to serve, and there's a 9-second stop-go penalty for the McLaren of Nico Rindlisbacher for the incorrect pit stop time. In comes the Mercedes to serve the drive-through for that track in a bit, I forget now, and we're also going to get this 9-second stop-go for Nico Rindlisbacher. The pit stop too short. So track limits it is for the Mercedes, pit stop too short for the McLaren, and the race order is now the two BMWs with 33.5 seconds between them, 16.5 minutes give or take on the clock. Still a lot to come out of this race. Now here, further down the order, look, you've got number 9 going through, which is Duncan Houseman. Behind him is Will Tregertha, they're 12th and 13th. Duncan Houseman in the Chevrolet Camaro there, rejoining the race, look, is Ivan Pavarud. And Duncan Houseman round the outside, Duncan GT4 champion. Up the inside goes Will Tregertha, he gets a bit of a squeeze in the Ginetta. And as a result of all of that, can't really find a way by as they drop downhill once more. There, look, Houseman, who's always great value in these cars in these conditions, puts himself ahead of the number 3 Audi of Cedric Freiberghaus and Josiah Rudest. That car now has Cedric Freiberghaus at the wheel of it. And up the hill they come with Houseman making progress then. 3 times the Dutch touring car champion, 5 times winner of the touring car race, the gear race at Macau. He's won the Nürburgring 24 hours and revelling in these conditions despite all that grunt of the Chevrolet Camaro as he blasts out of turn 5 now. 47, you can see the Mercedes that ran well early on in the race. It's Florian Janitz now at the wheel and going through on the inside and taking a place away, coming into the chicane. Wipers on, but the rain looks like it's eased a little bit. And again, this is the problem the teams face. Is that rain coming really heavily? Do we pit, or is it going to pass through and do we brave it out? 15 minutes still to run as the cars go downhill. This little battle pack has not only Cedric Freiberghaus, but the BMW in the mix. Now that's going to be number 1, is it not? Max Kubot, the winning car of yesterday. Will Tregertha up the inside, trying to gain places back again as they come down the hill. The leader has gone by, and the gap 35 seconds then. The last lap from the leading car quicker than Gabriele Piana. So Blancpain is still holding sway. That gap not coming down as Will Tregertha is on the back of Cedric Freiberghaus. Ginetta challenges Audi on the climb up the hill here. "20 laps are done, 14.5 minutes remain. Over the timing line comes the number 3 Audi on the back now of BMW number 38. That's the Jamie van der Balk, Louis Floss car. Van der Balk at the wheel of it, that runs in 11th position. So Houseman is 9th, Paolo Meloni is 10th in his BMW, 11th is Van der Balk, 12th now Freiberghaus, 13th is Janitz, and down to 14th has gone Will Tregertha. That Ginetta having a pretty torrid time here. Don't for a minute think he's down to the team. HHC Motorsport is a top team, very successful, having won the GT4 class in the British GT Championship, having won Ginetta Junior titles, having won races in the Senior Ginetta Championships. It is a team that knows this car inside out, but the conditions relative to the homologated setup and the suspension it's allowed to run just not being compatible. The results not coming for that car, but points are what matters. Trouble is they're giving points away to the number 5 Audi, as you see Janitz get up the inside of Freiberghaus, and also giving points away to number 1 BMW, both championship rivals. So through now comes the Ginetta on the back of Florian Janitz as they brake for the chicane, turn right, turn left. The leader is 34 seconds to the good now. The lap times are very similar between the two BMWs. Gabriele Piana is not being able to do much, if anything, about Blancpain. We've got another pit stop penalty coming, just to mention Cedric Freiberghaus there going up a place. Cedric Freiberghaus goes through ahead of Jamie van der Balk's BMW. There he is, number 38, Van der Balk down 1 spot. But now number 27, which is David Loger and Eric Mouet, are being given an 80-second stop and go penalty for the incorrect pit stop time. As down to turn 12 comes Freiberghaus round the outside. And also, look, Will Tregertha gets back ahead of Florian Janitz, so the Ginetta gains 1 place back off the Mercedes. Good racing, this. All of these drivers determined to try and salvage what they can out of a really challenging race. Greasy conditions, more than wet. Wonderful for watching racing, especially when you've got big, hairy, powerful GT cars. Up towards the timing line. Janitz, good move that, right round the outside of Will Tregertha to get the place back. Over the line they go, and down now towards the hairpin at turn 1. That is the BMW of Paolo Meloni. He turns his way now through turn 1. The car had a spin, of course, early on, but Meloni now comes under attack from the Cedric Freiberghaus Audi. Freiberghaus Goes to the outside line for turn 2, which he wants the inside line for turn 3, and he gets the job done. Easily done on the inside line there, takes the place. There's another penalty coming. It's number 16, the Ovega Geddes Audi. That's getting a 29-second stop go for being too short on the pit stops as well. Where will it all end, all of this? There's drama after drama after drama. There, Palomeloni up the curb, losing out to Florian Janitz. So Janitz now gains one more place. A little bit wide goes the Porsche Cayman, Henry Kaupe's car, as around the outside slithers the BMW. Through goes number 8. So that is now Mark van der Aar, who has taken over the BMW M4 from Koen Bogarts. Damage on the back of Seb Morris's Mercedes that he took over from Stephen Patrick. Seb Morris down in 39th place. Now the fastest lap, by the way, Gabriele Piana's just before the road got properly wet again. Driving standards flag now for number 47, and that is Florian Janitz. So having been getting excited about the places he's gained, I'm afraid to say now that he gets the driving standards flag. There is number 1, that is Simon Knapp, who is down in 8th place. The car ahead of him has had 3 penalties in this race. It's now Charbon Moore at the wheel of it, number 31. Patrick Zamperini having been in the wars with the officials early on. 110 is Mike Scavissa. Now all of a sudden, Gabriele Piana, maybe the road is drying again, has done an absolute best in the first sector. So the second placed BMW lapping a little bit faster than the leading car, and therefore is not out of the game yet. But only 10 more minutes remain. It would need to be quite a big drama, I think, now to stop the leading car in its tracks as Matt Nicol-Jones in the Academy Motorsport Aston goes a lap down, having taken over from Fiona James. A big drama here. That is coming onto the pit straight. It's the number 2 Mercedes, which was taken over by Marcus Pavarud, and that is off the road now. Can it be dragged off the circuit by the driver? Is it going to need a full course yellow, or even worse, a safety car, which could change the whole complexion of this race? He's looped it coming out of the last corner, and so Marcus Pavarud has gone around, hit the pit wall, and you can see the damage. Safety car deployed, and with 9.5 minutes to go, how many more racing laps are we going to get in? Oh, blimey. I asked the question, where will the drama end? Ain't ended yet, has it? Safety car deployed. The GT4 European Series Race 2 goes safety car with just 9 minutes change on the clock. So that was a car that had served a penalty, remember? We've got cars diving for the pit lane here now. Oh, that's for their stop and goes, isn't it? For incorrect pit stop times. But the race leader, 110 Bite Scavissa, is going to lose the bulk of that half a minute's advantage, allowing for back markers that might be between the 2 leading cars. This is an absolute godsend for Gabriele Piana. And now, of course, with cars strung out all across the lap, it's going to take a while for everybody to bunch up. It's going to then take a little bit of time to get to the car. Marcus Pavarud is still behind the wheel, almost like he's trying to get it started and drag it off the road. But all of this is eating into the last few minutes of the race. I'm thinking about how many racing laps we get in and what this will do to the lead battle. It might be that we don't get any racing laps in at all. Pavarud is still in the car. Here's the replay, just loses it. It's not that hard a hit, in fairness. It's a hit nonetheless, but it's not an enormous one. But it's done enough damage to put the car out of the race. And Marcus Pavarud, I think, trying to fire up the engine. Look, it's right near the vehicle access point. So as soon as the track workers can get to it, it shouldn't take long to clear the road. But at the moment, until the safety car has scooped up everybody, nobody's being allowed near it. So one car being told it's got to pick up the pace and catch the safety car. It's Philippe Baker's Porsche. Some have slowed down, thinking, where is the safety car? Others are going quicker, trying to find it. We've got the leader through. I don't think we're going to go racing again here. The safety car there has missed the leader. The safety car has missed the leader. It's taken a while to get it onto the circuit, hasn't it? Strangely, the safety car conditions were called for, but that means by the time we've got the leader sorted out, we'll be at the end of the time. But the safety car has missed the race leader, I think. There it is. Bite Scavissa is waiting for the safety car. Well done, Bite Scavissa. So the safety car deployed, didn't come out for a long, long time, missed the leader, and the race has been potentially saved by Blancpain letting the safety car go through. So there is the race leading BMW, but look behind, there's no sign yet of Gabriele Piana because you've got all this traffic. But with 6.5 minutes to go and the cars stranded around strewn around the circuit, I can't honestly see we'll go back to racing here. Nobody has yet got to the car that's on the track. There's a Marshall trackside, but there's no recovery vehicle. And surely by the time that's there is Marcus Pavard about to clamber out of the car. But with 6 minutes to go, I'm very, very unsure that we'll see a racing lap. Marcus Pavard couldn't open the door, seemingly. So he clambers out the other side. He's fine, he's okay. So that's the good news. The driver's out of the car, but you've got to move the car, surely. And there are marshals standing there, but they want to be safe before they get to it. And for as long as the cars are not in a long, long line, they can't go. So the race officials want everybody to try and bunch up, but we had 9 minutes when the safety car came out. We're 5.5 minutes, and still the car can't be touched, can't be moved, because there are cars still circulating. Right, there's a flatbed on its way. Well, we might get one lap in, if we can. The flatbed is on its way to the incident zone. So, as the second place BMW turns through, Gabriele Piana now, see all the traffic ahead of him. Blancpain is still in the box seat, partly because we're not going to get much racing left, if any, and partly because all the traffic for Piana to have to overtake. A rather frustrated Marcus Pavard then trudges back up the pit lane to go and talk to the team and explain what he did wrong. Did his first 24-hour race as a 16-year-old, the Norwegian driver. Races in GT3 and TCR back home. But sadly, that spin putting him out of the race. So now we have the flatbed on the circuit at the pit straight. You'll see it, I think, in a moment when we come out of turn 14. The race is neutralised and they're coming through the pit lane so that the marshals have got more space to work and they'll be safer on the track. So they are coming through the pit lane. This is a good decision by the race director, good thinking that, rather than have to tiptoe around the incident zone and the marshals be in jeopardy. He brings the field down the pit lane, so that's fine. This is all part of the race. It's not the end. They're not being waved off. Some might be a bit unsure, but the race is still on as they drive through the pit lane. And there's the reason that you can see that there's not much room on the road with a car and a flatbed. And there's the replay of the spin, the back just getting a little bit out of line. We had, in fairness, the Blancpain GT Series championship leaders doing something similar yesterday, just putting a wheel over the painted curb, the back losing traction, and the car spinning into the wall. So, as we continue the race, 3.5 minutes to go, can that Mercedes be out of the way swiftly? The big ask. So, the safety car has done a lap. There, look, the Mercedes ready to be hoiked into the air. Everybody else thinking, what are we doing coming down here? But the reason is, I've seen it in other races, it's very, very good thinking by the race director to keep the race moving by using the pit lane as part of the circuit. It's also thrown the timing screen into conservation because everyone is now being in pit or pit out as their last lap time. So the race continues. We've got 3 minutes, but really we need the road to be clear this time, don't we? Otherwise we won't get a racing lap in. So the safety car's pace will be affected. The Mercedes, I can tell you, is in the air. There it is. It's about to be dropped down onto the back of the flatbed. And if they can swiftly get off the road, we can go racing at the end of this lap. Jeroen Friemans, who is the race director, will be looking at this on the different camera angles he gets. There's also the bits of debris to be swept out of the way. The Mercedes is lowered. But the safety car, if we're going to get a racing lap in, needs to bail at the end of this lap. So there is the safety car. It's got half a lap to go before it gets back to the timing line, and the track workers are still sweeping. The Mercedes is ready to move. So 2 minutes to go. Are we going to get a racing lap in? The driver of the flatbed is ready to drive it off the circuit, I think. So the drivers come out of the chicane. Lights are still flashing. If we don't get the safety car in this time, effectively the race will end behind the safety car because we'll be on to the last lap. There is less than a lap time left in the race. And a red flag is now being shown. So can you believe it? A red flag is being shown. So rather than an early checkered flag, it is a red flag. And so the race is stopped. The race is brought to an early end with the, I assume, chance of going racing negligible because of the track still narrowed with the flatbed having to work to get the Mercedes out of the way. There it is. And so the red flag comes out and the race is brought to an early close, frustratingly. So the race order goes back to lap 24 and it confirms the win for Blancpain and for Nico Menzel at the end of another fascinating race. It's a great shame that people will go away from here thinking about GT4 and red flags, but to an extent you can understand it more in this race because of the fact that the Mercedes still is having its clear-up operation done. There would be no racing time at the end. So rather than waste the teams with another lap in which you can't change the order, bring the race to an early close. So the race is brought to a halt and the race at an end with the win going the way of Blancpain and Nico Menzel after a great performance by both of them in ever-changing and always challenging conditions. So the drivers will again come down the pit lane, this time for keeps. And the top three then, the win going the way of Blancpain and Nico Menzel. For second place, chasing hard but never being able to get close enough. A good effort by Gabriele Piana in the sister BMW, having taken over the RN Vision STS car from Razvan Brescu. So they've had a win this year, now the sister car having a win. And then third place, number 24, the bright blue KTM of Gottfried Pilz and Mads Siljehaug. Now, an incident between car 2 and car 8 being investigated after the race, which suggests that Paver had ended up in the wall, possibly with a bit of help. It would have been Mark van der Aar behind him in the BMW, and it may have been that the two of them tangled as a result of something on the circuit, and therefore ended up with the Mercedes clouting the wall. Blancpain, I think, was rather overshot Parc Fermé there. Sixth place in the end, going to Nicolas Schurl, who wins his class, the AM category. Nicolas Schurl, the winner in the Porsche Cayman. Second of the AMs, Nicky Leutwiler, who has had a very, very good season, but been a bit overshadowed by Nicolas Schurl this weekend. And then third, also a combination of drivers that have had a good year with a number of class wins, Giuseppe Gezzi and his co-driver of Alessandro Giovanelli. Right, we've got who we need for Parc Fermé now. Nico Menzel walks over. Great stint by Nico Menzel to keep out of trouble. Two BMW juniors then embrace. Nico very, very happy with that. So too Gabriele Piana, who arrives on the scene to say well done. And for third place, Gottfried Pilz, absolutely delighted with that result for him and for Mads Siljehaug. I think Hans Reiter, who runs these cars, is really chuffed as well, as you can see there in the background. Mads Siljehaug there in the background. And excellent result for Gottfried Pilz. Gottfried gets his breath back. Started racing way back in the 1990s, Gottfried Pilz, in the BMW Challenge, but has come back into GT racing of late. Well, let's hear from our winners. Blancpain victorious with Nico Menzel.
A massive congratulations to the both of you. She's just getting her helmet off right now. What a great win.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, mixed conditions, everything was possible, and now, yeah, actually we choose the right tire, and yeah, great, well done. Blancpain did a great job in the second stint as well. I could yeah, pull a gap, and just great. Blancpain, come here.
Come on. Congratulations. What a good win.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was very tricky. We gambled with slicks in the beginning, so Nico had a very difficult first stint. But yeah, he did a perfect job, and I just had to finish it. So yeah, I'm very happy.
A shame to finish under a safety car, but those are the procedures we have to take.
Yeah, anyway, we had a very big gap to P2, so we were controlling that.
Well done. Congratulations.
So well done, Nico Menzel. And although Blancpain is saying he had a tricky stint, well, so did she, because of course it was changeable weather conditions for the second part of the race as well. So the drivers now make their way towards the podium. There is Hans Reiter talking to Gottfried Pilz and explaining who was quick where. And fascinating race, watching the weather change, watching how the tyres came good and faded away again, depending on what you were on and what the conditions were like at the time. So let's have a look at the highlights, cram them all in somehow. It was a very lively race, and it began with Nico Menzel's BMW dropping back in the pack, and remember, it was the race lead for Stuart Middleton when he got the advantage into the first corner. Straight away, drama for Stefan Tribodini as he was tapped into a spin by Milan Doncia, for which Doncia got a penalty, and Fiona James also lost it, so that car compromised late in the race too. There, making progress, was Mads Siljehaug. He took over the race lead as the Porsche Cayman was very, very crossed up indeed there in the hands of Rudolf Schulte. Delight as the KTMs pit their way up the order, but then as the rain started to come, Ferdinand Stuck was a spinner. That dropped 22 down the order. It finished 4th ultimately, and up front the BMW of Nico Menzel on slicks started to come good as the road dried out once more. Stuart Middleton, however, struggling with the suspension setup on the Ginetta. He was losing place after place. Nicolas Scholl was doing a good job in the Porsche Cayman, and 3 wide as Ferdinand Stuck came up to attack Stefan Leberay. 2 BMWs and the KTM battle their way over the timing line. A spin just before the pit window for Stephen Patrick. That delayed his AM-class Mercedes. Sir Morris ready to take that car over. It blasted back into the race as those that were on wets at the start came in for slicks, only to discover that the rain came. And those that were on slicks, namely the leading car of Nico Menzel, braved it out for as long as it could before committing to 1 pit stop to put Blancpain behind the wheel. Back into the race, blasted number 110. Nico Rindlisbacher's car had been second briefly in the hands of Paul Rees, but the McLaren fell away, losing places as the number 2 Mercedes had to pit to serve a penalty for being short, for track limit abuse, as number 112 got collected by an errant Porsche. And then this incident that effectively brought the race to a close. Marcus Paverud spinning into the pit wall, possibly as a result of an incident with Mark van der Aert. That brought out the safety car, but in the end, there seemed to be insufficient time to restart the race, and out came the red flag. Nico Menzel and Blancpain are the winners ahead of Gabriele Piana and Razvan Urescu, with 3rd going the way of Gottfried Pilz and Mads Siljehaug. So we've got thunder and lightning once again, which was not forecast for today. This is what affected life yesterday, but the weather has been very unpredictable over the course of this weekend. The drivers, though, now making their way out onto the podium. We have podium ceremonies for the AMS, Pro-AMS overall, and also for the Silver Cup, and the Satina watches go to the pole position drivers in each of the categories. So it is those that we have first. Milan Doncia is a pole sitter from the Silver Cup, so it may not have been a great race result, but the ebullient Dutchman will receive his Satina watch in a moment. More of the drivers making their way up as Max Brahms, who is the championship manager, hands over the watches. Josiah Rodest in the middle, and Alessandro Giovanelli, the other drivers who take the Satina watches. Satina, the official timing partner of the GT4 European Series, part of the Swatch Group. And the drivers now, with no excuse never to know when the driver's briefing starts, with a nice Satina watch to wear, make their way from the podium and away into the paddock as the rain falls here at the Hungaroring, and the thunder is still around as well. So the category podiums get underway in the rain here. Some very bedraggled teams watching on, as out comes for third overall and third of the silvers, Gottfried Pilz, and in the black overalls they're ahead of him, Mads Siljehoug. Second place goes the way of Razvan Marescu and Gabriele Piana. The BMW drivers have been victorious this year. They won at Misano and second here at the Hungaroring. And then for the top step of the podium, the winners at the Hungaroring, Beitske Visser and Nico Menzel. On to the top step of the podium, they will jump, and a 1-2 for BMW, KTM third. And so much happening in that race, people's fortunes changing throughout. So well done, Beitske Visser and Nico Menzel. And now the trophies will be presented. The drivers bedraggled on the podium. They'll be joined by Matteo Braga from Pirelli, who is going to hand over the trophies. So for third place, Gottfried Pilz and Mads Siljehoug. He's been quite impressive this year in GT3 cars within the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup. Mads Siljehoug. Then for second place, Gabriele Piana and Razvan Marescu receive their awards, and there the winners' trophies. Beitske Visser, Nico Menzel win at the Hungaroring. Everybody gets together for the photographs. And that's one way to keep your camera dry. But the driver's eager, I think, to flee the podium here. Are they going to spray the champagne? Well, especially when you wet it up, it really doesn't make any odds, does it? Gabriele Piana and Razvan Marescu will celebrate, but so too a very happy Nico Menzel. That was a great drive by Nico Menzel in the changing conditions early on, having to cope with the worst of the weather, then the road drying out, never knowing quite how hard to push. Has it dried enough? Has it not? But he got the car back into contention. In the end, it was Gabriele Piana who took the fastest lap of the race. Piana right towards the very end. So let's just have a look at the way the Silver Championship looks now. Simon Knapp and Mats Kobolt ahead of Will Tregertha and Stuart Middleton. Not a great weekend for the British duo. Milan Dotsche, Nikolai Moller-Madsen third ahead of Stéphane Tribaudini and Pierre-Alexandre Jean. Gabriele Piana. The BMW drivers, the trophies. So Max Tresoldi and Paolo Meloni receive the third place awards. Second, Jules Szymkowiak in the black and white overalls, and Marcus Lundstratz in the pink and purple colours, which is a bit like a giant bruise, really. And then the category winners, Josiah Rodest and Cedric Freiberghaus, victorious at the end of our second GT4 European Series race of the weekend. So an all-action weekend, weather affected, but we've had some great racing along the way. The celebrations for the Pro-Am drivers underway here at the Hungaroring. For everybody else, it's time to go and take shelter. We've had some great races here, so thanks for your company from a very wet Hungaroring from David Addison. Bye-bye for now.